So one of the most common misconceptions in cryptocurrency is why there's so many coins out there. You have things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Dogecoin, Cardano. Those are some big hitters, right? The question is, why? Is it popular because of the name? Is it popular because there was some hype around it and someone invested? Well, the reality is no. Yeah, actually, a lot of the coins on top, they do serve some purpose, right? So there is some value proposition, and they're effectively trying to solve a problem using decentralized methods. That is, I would say, 90% true. the the reason why it's not completely true is because just because people say decentralized, it doesn't really mean it's decentralized. So the this website here, CoinMarketCap. It allows you to basically take a look at some of the big coins out there. It does not all the cryptocurrencies. There's actually thousands of cryptocurrencies launching every second. The CoinMarketCap, I would say, are the big hitters, things that have big market cap, a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume. So if you're listed on CoinMarketCap, it's a pretty big deal because it just gives people a sense of trust. And usually CoinMarketCap, well, it used to be at least, that's where people would go to find new coins. Nowadays, it has the landscape has really shifted. You don't really go here as much as it used to, right? Because you have things like decentralized exchanges nowadays. You have liquidity pools. Things like pump.fun, where people can launch their own tokens and they have their own UI. So to me, CoinMarketCap, it's a great asset, but I see it as sort of like a legacy at this point, right? Things are moving to DEXscan, and if you look here, they do have DEXscan. So this to me is like the future, because th- this is more like uh, it's curated still, right? So CoinMarketCap will still have to approve a lot of these to actually to show up in like search results and things. But this is sort of like the future, in my opinion, because this is the portal to a lot of liquidity in the future. But let's go back to the main topic that I wanted to discuss. It is, why do we have so many coins? You have like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Like, what do they do? Why? And why, for example, why is Ethereum market cap at 2 trillion and Ethereum is only 400 billion? So the real answer is tokenomics, or they're all trying to solve different um, problems in the world, right? So I guess, well, if you think about it, one thing you could say uh, that is pretty easy to understand. For example, if Bitcoin is a store of value, like a competitor to gold, then Ethereum, it is more like a decentralized computer. It's a decentralized computer with a decentralized database. So you can write a smart contract, which is like an application, and then you can run it on a bunch of computers at the same time and store things. And you will pay a small amount of gas. So gas is how you transact using your smart contract. And yeah, I mean that's Ethereum in a nutshell, right? And then you have things like Tether. Tether is basically, if you look at the price, it's $1, right? And Tether is basically a US dollar. So you also have USDC, and it's also US dollar. But the difference between them is USDC, for example, it is actually regulated, and the reserves are proven. And Tether, so far at the moment of recording this video, there is a lot of controversy. With is it real? Is it actually backed? Is it audited? So we've been talking about this for last 5 years, and yeah. So you can speculate if it's all there or not. But yeah, I mean, so what I did, I think that people should really utilize AI more nowadays. And if you just go to AI and you say, "Can you explain me the different tokenomics for the top 10 cryptocurrencies?" and it will do pretty good job, right? So you have Bitcoin, primary use case, store of value. Ethereum, primary use case, platform for smart contracts. That's pretty complicated to understand, but decentralized applications, that makes a lot more sense. So, and then you have things like Tether, primary use case, stablecoin pegged to US dollar, which is what we've discussed. And then XRP, breach assets, which makes sense, right? If you think about, sending money cross border, it's very expensive, and they're solving this using blockchain. Now, there's also something called tokenomics, and tokenomics basically explains how the actual coins, how they're utilized. And what I mean by this is, for example, with Bitcoin, you just store it. It's not, there's no staking. You cannot earn any interest on your Bitcoin. So you could probably do it through third-party services, but they're not really baked into the actual Bitcoin itself, right? And for example, Ethereum, that's how Ethereum also started, but later they moved to something called proof of stake, right? And proof of stake allows you to basically take your coins and earn yield in exchange for solving some, or if in exchange for running the actual applications. You can think of it like that. So there is a lot, right? And if you go back here, even if we start scrolling, it's just crazy, right? And if you think about it, you might have heard of some of these things like Chainlink. Chainlink is a really good one. Um, so, and then you have things like Dogecoin. Dogecoin, what is it like? What are the tokenomics of Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum? Well, you have some things like this, and maybe some meme coins that there is no real use case behind them. And then you have things like Litecoin. I think they're popular because they're old at this point, and people would speculate back in the day on just the name alone. And Dogecoin, for example, Elon Musk got into it, so it has seen a lot of volatility. So if you go here, you can actually see it's been performing pretty insane, considering that there is no real use case and there's no interesting tokenomics. It's just like Bitcoin. And you have like a lot of memes as well. But really, what I really want to get out of this video is for you to just understand that Bitcoin is not everything, right? So if we actually go here, we should see, there should be, okay, see this Bitcoin dominance right here? It basically shows you that if we click it, we can actually see a little better chart. So this shows you, if you take a lot of the top coins, what is the dominance of Bitcoin compared to other tokens. And this is a very important chart to understand because it kind of shows you where the liquidity is, right? So most of the liquidity is in Bitcoin, but it's not going to stay like this. And what I mean by that is the number of tokens, the number of use cases and utility is increasing, right? You have new tokens that are launched that are solving different problems, like XRP, for example, for moving money internationally. Maybe there's going to be another one for real estate, and maybe there's going to be another one for groceries, right? Like a lot of centralized problems could use a token, but in my opinion, those are the easy solutions, right? The harder solutions is where do you apply things that could be decentralized, and and the things like voting, for example. Imagine if you could vote on chain, and it cannot be hacked in that sense, because you cannot just create a bunch of fake votes. And as you can see, there's a lot of use cases, and I just don't believe that Bitcoin dominance will stay like this forever, because every single day there's going to be some new utility, some new use cases that are launching. So yeah, so I'm just saying, not everything is about Bitcoin. I mean, it's a great project, but Ethereum, in my opinion, is way more interesting because it's a decentralized computer, and they're constantly adding new features, making it cheaper, making it more scalable. And, to me, that is really where most of the innovation will lie. Because, to create something decentralized, you don't need to launch your own token. Maybe you don't need to launch your own blockchain. You can just use Ethereum, write a smart contract. So, yeah, even our project is here. Even though it's not tracked, it is on CoinMarketCap, and we have a couple of tokens, right? So there they are. So it's a cool website. It's just, to me, this is really a legacy website, and I used to go here almost every day, and since I would say Uniswap, I don't as much, and I think for me, it's more interesting where the liquidity is in the liquidity pools, and I think Ethereum is is there's a lot of activity, and Solana as well, right? Those are the two big ones, and BNB. So I would say BNB, Solana, and Ethereum, they're kind of competitors. So they're all trying to, in a way, solve the same problem using different approach. But what I like about Ethereum specifically is that they're really decentralized, and what they're doing is, for example, Solana, it would keep going down, for example, and what they're doing is they're scaling in a different way than Ethereum is. So Ethereum is thinking of scaling right now through layer twos, with things like Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base, for example. They're all written on Ethereum. And basically, what that is someone said, "Hey, let's make a scalable blockchain, but use the security of Ethereum to achieve that." Right? So you get the security of Ethereum, but the speed of Solana, something like that, right? And Solana, for example, has a very high computer requirements to run it, and to me, they're similar, but I guess I've been with Ethereum for so long that it just makes sense, like on the roadmap, and because we wrote so many smart contracts on Ethereum as well, just kind of where the home is for us. So yeah, so not everything is about Bitcoin. I just want to say, like, there is a reason why there is so much hype behind cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and XRP, and of course they've grown so much. Like if you take a look at XRP, it was like, I just remember the days when it went up and it would just kind of stagnate, and there was a lot of uncertainty and the XRP because of regulatory compliance, and it's been kind of crazy journey, and even same for Ethereum, right? It's, if you take a look at the charts, it's been kind of steady. There's been some ups and downs, but inflation keeps going down, and since proof of stake and a lot of government ETFs now, I just think there's a lot of potential in Ethereum. So there's definitely something to keep in there. So in terms of just to touch up again on tokenomics, what you can do on Ethereum, for example, you can run your own cryptocurrency, and instead of it just having a static supply, and for example, you mint like a million coins, and you say, "Hey, go and buy my coin." I mean, that's cool, but there, there isn't anything interesting happening right there. But what we did, for example, with our project, what we did is, if you take a look, I'll show you. So, so if you go to the analytics, you can actually see like a lot of these charts. Well, every single chart here, we did ourselves, right? And a lot of this data sourced from the real-time data from the blockchain. So there's a lot of numbers, and this is because our tokenomics are so different than a lot of other cryptocurrencies. So, for example, we constantly mint new tokens every 15 seconds, and they're spread out between the people that are burning it. So, what we're trying to do is we're basically trying to say there is a better way to handle inflation by breaking up like the central bank, right? So we're trying to decentralize the central bank and show people that you can create monetary velocity. And it's a crazy idea, right? So, but it's unique, and I think that's what makes it so interesting, right? So, and we keep, for example, launching new tokens, and every token we launch, it solves like a different problem. Yeah, but I think our core ideas are still there. Like we recently launched liquidity, which this this liquidity here is 95% of that is in the liquidity pool. And yeah, I mean, you can see the inflation here keeps going down. um, but anyway, just going back to coin market cap. I think there is a lot of very interesting projects that I even haven't heard of, because it's been a while and they're constantly launching. So this is what I would do. Let's take a look at something that I don't know. Um, okay, Caspa, right? So maybe I've heard of Caspa, but I don't know what they're doing. Let's say. So I'm gonna go to AI, and then what I will do is I will literally say, what are the tokenomics of Caspa, right? So you type in, what are the tokenomics of Caspa? So it'll break it up. So let's just take a look. Okay. So fair launch and distribution, to me, that's not tokenomics. That's just how the supply was issued. Um, token utility. Okay. Peer-to-peer payments and network fee. So it's just kind of like what Ethereum one does. Okay. So, and then let's say, cool. Let's compare it to Ethereum, because to me that just sounds like Ethereum, right? So because you can use peer-to-peer payments on Ethereum, and network fees are also um, our transaction fees on Ethereum, the gas is the same. Let's take a look. Okay, so really they're going for peer-to-peer cash, basically. Okay, so proof of work, even though they might have some cool custom consensus mechanism, is still proof of work. Okay, so just something to know. But basically, it means that a bunch of computers are solving something, most likely. Um, okay, so overall, really the main thing here is the primary goal. Is this an interesting thing that they're solving? To me, not very interesting, right? Because a lot of other coins can probably solve that. I'm not saying it's a bad project. What I usually look for are some new things that other tokens haven't solved yet, right? Because everyone can just go in, they can fork Ethereum and call it any other name, and then do the same thing. So what we're looking for is some unique projects. So here's a good one, for example, PancakeSwap. It's not unique, but the tokenomics are very different. So I'll show you what I mean. So what about pancake, PancakeSwap? Um, then you compare it to Ethereum. I cannot type. I'll just wait a bit. So as you can see, what I'm really trying to show you is use AI, because it can save you a lot of time, right? I mean, I would have to go to PancakeSwap website, and it'll probably try to sell me something like the most amazing decentralized system, invest now. But I want to see specifically what they're trying to solve. So primary goal, utility and governance token for the DEX. Not very interesting. So basically, what they're saying is there is a decentralized exchange called PancakeSwap, which is probably like Uniswap, which is just you provide it's like liquidity pools. And I'm guessing what they're doing with this token is probably using it as incentives for liquidity pools and maybe spreading the fees. So do you see what I mean? So by just asking AI, you can really kind of see, right? So like for example, SPX 69,000. It's a meme coin, but it's just funny to see it up here. So here's a really good project, the graph. Okay, check this out. The graph. Compare it to. We used the graph before for our analytics, but that's a really really cool project. Um, okay, so primary goal: decentralized data indexing and querying. Whoa, that sounds very different from what we've looked at before. But um, basically, think of it like a semi-decentralized um, semi-decentralized graph database. So that's why it's called the graph, by the way. But yeah, it's just basically allows you to go through the blockchain events, for example, and maybe so as an example, you can go through and say every time someone sends a transaction to my account, uh, store the total amount, right? And then you can query graph and get this information in real time. That's a very simplified example, but it basically allows you to go through some events on the blockchain or the logs, and then actually take the data and transform it into something useful. So, for example, Uniswap uses this for their interface. When you go and you take a look at all of the transactions that are happening in their liquidity pools, a lot of that UI is using the graph. So it's a really interesting project that a lot of people are using, and then basically you can pay for the queries using this token. So it's pretty interesting. But at the same time, to me, the question is like, why can't I just pay in USD, right? So this is a really big thing. I just keep kind of bringing up that even though you got a cool project, like for example, we were looking at one project we were just looking at. What was it? Not Cake, Casper, right? So they're doing payments. Why can't I just pay in USDC? It's easy, like, right? So it's the same thing here for the graph. Like it's a cool thing that you got this token, but why can't I just pay in USDC? So to a lot of like centralized problems that people are trying to solve using using decentralized tokens, this question kind of kills their whole value proposition. Like I just want to pay USDC. That's it. So anyway, just to finalize it, just use AI and just talk about some projects that you might have heard of. Like just you can be like, what is that cash like? Anything cool about it? So it's gonna think about it, and yeah, I mean, maybe we can also take a look at some of the analytics here for our project. Like, we're a very small market cap project, and we have a few tokens, but to me, like every single token that we've launched, it solves a different problem. And the first one was really like Flux, and that's the sort of our um, long-term vision. And liquidity is like the latest thing on Arbitrum layer 2, where we took the best of all the worlds. So it's like cheap to transact, but it's got a liquidity that's permanent, and there's also like GameFi games on it, and yeah. So as you can see, like Zcash right here, the goal is like privacy. Cool. And then you can say it's like, can you tell me what their competition is? Which most likely will include Monero. Um, 'Cause that's the big thing for Monero. So while it's thinking, you can actually, it wrote a bunch of stuff. And then you can literally say, tell AI to be like, hey, can you explain it to me like I'm five? Like I'm still not getting it, right? Ask it questions. You can keep going back and forth. See, Monero is that was very right. So, it's like, what's the difference? Zcash is optional privacy, and then Monero is mandatory privacy. On Dash is a big one as well. They have master nodes. So our project actually like took a lot of inspiration from master nodes. Anyway, I think I'm gonna just keep this video a little bit short here. I hope this video just gave you a little bit of insight to why there's more than one cryptocurrency in the world, Bitcoin, and why also Bitcoin is like not the only thing that exists. And there's a lot of hype for the other coins. So thanks for everyone for taking your time, and I'll make some more videos.